Hey guys, LevelCap here, and this week in gaming, India officially shut down PUBG Mobile. Ubisoft delayed two of their most anticipated games. BioWare are still holding on to hope that they can revive Anthem, and much more. India has officially banned PUBG Mobile. They announced bans in September for 118 apps due to security concerns mostly related to China. The ban took effect yesterday, rendering PUBG and the other 117 apps unusable on Indian devices. While PUBG Corp is a South Korean company, Tencent, a Chinese mega company, holds the publishing rights for the mobile game. PUBG Corp tried to appease the Indian government by taking over publishing rights specifically for India, but that wasn't enough to avoid a ban. Tensions between India and China have been growing since June due to a border dispute that has gone on for decades. The conflict turned violent this year, and the fighting resulted in the first deaths at the border since 1975. As much as the government's ban on Chinese apps is motivated by security concerns, it's more likely India is trying to deprive China of one of the biggest software markets in the world. PUBG was India's most popular mobile game and had 33 million registered players. It also has 50% of PUBG Lite's 32 million player base. Some of the other banned apps include high-profile ones like TikTok, WeChat, and Weibo. While it's unclear exactly what kind of economic impact the ban will have on China directly, it's undoubtedly going to have a massive effect on developers responsible for the apps. Ubisoft announced delays for two of its most anticipated titles. Far Cry 6 and Rainbow Six Quarantine have been moved to Ubisoft's next fiscal year, which goes from April 2021 to March 2022. The delays are due to complications with employees working from home. Ubisoft CEO hinted at possible delays back in May. Far Cry 6 had a pretty awesome reveal trailer that showcased Giancarlo Esposito as Anton Castillo, one of the central antagonists. As for Quarantine, aside from the somewhat unfortunate timing of the game release, Ubisoft has been notably quiet about its development. The Rainbow Six Siege team was recently put under new direction so the game's senior staff could work on other projects. It's unclear if the original Siege team was moved to Quarantine or if they're working on a new project entirely. Leaks of Quarantine suggest it will be a massively expanded version of Siege's Outbreak limited time event from 2018. Despite these delays, Ubisoft reassured investors that Beyond Good and Evil 2 is still progressing well. The highly anticipated game was announced 12 years ago and had a major reveal at E3 2 years ago. Since then, Ubisoft haven't said much regarding the game. Its creator, Michael Ansel, actually left the gaming industry last month, casting doubt on the game's future. Anthem might be forgotten from memory for most gamers, but apparently the developers are still working on their overhaul for the failed looter shooter. The devs revealed a new skill tree system, artifacts, and an overhauled UI. You'd be forgiven for mistaking these screenshots for Destiny 2. The similarities are pretty striking. Despite the game crashing and burning at launch, its core gameplay and world were somewhat praised. The main issue was the lack of gameplay surrounding the game's quote-unquote epic story and post-launch DLC not arriving quickly. A complete overhaul of the game from the ground up is reportedly in the works, and while these screenshots don't offer much information, it's pretty clear that they're total replacements for the existing content. Cyberpunk 2077 has also been delayed, but not by a whole fiscal year. The 21-day delay caused a stir on social media. While many fans of the upcoming game were understanding, some took things too far, sending death threats to the developers. And with all the controversy surrounding the game, its developers' stock price has fallen 25% in the last 2 months. On top of that, reports of extreme crunch time have drawn scrutiny from the press. In a call to investors following the surprise delay, the company CEO said that the crunch wasn't that bad. He quickly apologized to the staff in an internal email for the offhand remark, which many took as a mischaracterization of the situation. Apex Legends Season 7 is launching Wednesday, and it's shaping up to be the game's most significant expansion since World's Edge. Season 7 brings a new map called Olympus, a new legend called Horizon who has gravity-based abilities, new vehicles, skins, a club system, and more. The gameplay trailer for the update looks pretty promising, but don't expect existing heroes to undergo any dramatic changes. Indie destruction simulator Teardown skyrocketed to Steam's best-selling list after launching in early access this week. It's a voxel-based game that features an incredibly robust physics system and hardware-agnostic ray tracing, which means you don't need an RTX GPU to run it. Aside from the exciting tech behind the game, at its core, it's just a fun, well-crafted game that lets you rampage through levels with a variety of weapons and tools to cause destruction. Call of Duty fans tired of needing to buy new SSDs for every Modern Warfare update got a Baja blast of bad news this week as Treyarch revealed the launch install sizes for Cold War. Without ray tracing, the install size is 175 gigabytes, but with ray tracing and 4K textures installed, the total size is 250 gigabytes. For comparison, the entirety of Modern Warfare, Warzone included, is around 250 gigabytes now, and that's after a year of new maps, content, and updates. The good news is, players will be able to pick what modes they install for Cold War at launch. Regardless though, prepare for some massive downloads on launch day. The latest entry in Supermassive Games' horror series, the Dark Pictures Anthology, just launched in time for Halloween. Little Hope focuses on a group of students in an abandoned American town with a history of witch trials. The game is a cinematic co-op point-and-click adventure game with impressive character models and appropriately spoopy environments. It's available on Steam, PlayStation 4, and Xbox One. EA are facing a massive weekly fine of $583,000 in the Netherlands for selling loot boxes in FIFA Ultimate Team. The ruling was originally handed down in 2018, but EA have fought a bitter legal battle about it ever since. The courts approved a more recent ruling on Thursday authorizing the fine. EA will continue to fight the ruling, so it's unclear if they're actually going to pay the weekly fine, if they're going to remove the loot boxes from FIFA, or if they're going to pursue a different way of monetizing the game that skirts the country's gambling laws. In our final story this week, free-to-play action RPG Genshin Impact just got its first major update. The 1.1 update adds a finale to one of the main story's chapters. 4 new playable characters, it kicks off the game's first seasonal event, adds a bunch of new features, and more. The game supports 4-player co-op and was an overnight sensation. It's apparently the biggest global launch of a Chinese game ever and is available on consoles, PC, and mobile devices. While the game looks like a knockoff of Nintendo's Breath of the Wild, it's apparently a very different game in terms of its story, world, and overall goals. It's also likely to just keep getting more popular as new content and features are added. And that wraps it up for this week in gaming. As always guys, thank you so much for watching. Let me know what story you thought was the most interesting this week in the comments down below. Leave a like if you enjoyed the content, subscribe if you want to see more news content in your feed, and I'll see you guys next time. This is LevelCap signing off.